Hello everyone, it's Deb again. So in this video I thought I would show you one of the ways that I save money on groceries, and that is by shredding my own cheese. And the reason I do that is because my son and I actually go through quite a bit of shredded cheese because, you know, Tex-Mex is our favorite food, and plus several of the other dishes that we eat requires shredded cheese. And when I buy it at the store, I normally like to buy the Tillamook brand. And the shredded cheese for the Tillamook, it's 8 ounces, and it's like $5 for 8 ounces, so about $10 a pound. And this is actually what I buy just to snack on, like during the day if I need something to eat. It's an 8-ounce bar, and I pay $6 for this one 8-ounce block of Tillamook at the store, like at Kroger. And so in order to save on all of that, long ago I started shredding our own cheese. And what I do is I go to Azure Standard, and I'll put a link in the description, and I buy Landmark, which is about the equivalent to Tillamook when it comes to quality and everything. And you know, I like to buy the Tillamook 3 cheese, I think it's 3 cheeses, it's a Mexican blend. And normally, for the longest time, I would always buy pepper jack and also white cheddar, and they were all raw cheeses, and I would mix them together and make my own kind of blend. But nowadays, lately, I'm just buying the pepper jack. And what I do is I buy cases of this. This is also 8 ounces. And when I buy it by the case, it's about $5 a pound. So I'm literally saving half the cost over the Tillamook shredded cheese. And it's a little bit of work, but it's really not that much work. And my dishwasher actually gets my food processor pretty clean. I mean, I don't even have to soak it or anything. I can just throw it in the dishwasher and it comes out clean, usually, for the most part. And I know I'm not going to be able to do this as a nomad, but I thought, you know, while I'm still here, I can show you guys what I do, you know, just in a sticks and bricks to save money. And I do have a little tiny hand-held grater that I can use to shred cheese on the road if I need to. And if you've ever looked at the back of a shredded cheese package, you'll notice that they put usually cellulose in it, which is, you know, usually like wood pulp fiber or some kind of plant-based fiber, or they'll use cornstarch or whatever. And what I use, because I like to be as organic as possible, is I buy organic tapioca starch. And this brand, Let's Do Organic, they also make a cornstarch, an organic cornstarch. And so either one of those is something that you can find in a store. But because I still buy in bulk at Azure Standard, this is what I normally buy. It's just bulk tapioca starch, and I actually usually just buy bigger packages than that, and I keep the package in here, and I just fill a pint-size jar and use that until it's gone, and then refill it from my bag here. And so that's what I'll use here tonight. But I wanted to show you that you can find this here in a store, and also the cornstarch. And I've already got this plugged in. I'm gonna kind of explain it first. Most people have a food processor, and so this is pulse here. The lighting's really bad. It's on 0 right now, and it's got 1 and 2. So when I shred this, I use the number 1 setting. And when I store my food processor, I don't store it locked in place. This is locked in place. I don't store it like that because that puts stress on the equipment, and they actually tell you not to store it like that. And also the lid, I just set it there loosely. When I'm storing it, I don't lock it in place when it's stored. So I've already got it plugged in there. And this is 2 pounds of cheese, and I know that seems excessive, but we go through a lot of cheese. And the way that I do it, and I keep it in the coldest part of the refrigerator, it will last probably 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks. So we've got 2 pounds of cheese here, and I just do 1 pound at a time in a gallon size Ziploc bag. And so this one gets stored in the coldest part of the refrigerator, and then we just go through that one until it's gone, and then I switch over to this one. So that's how I store it. I squish out the air as much as possible when I'm storing it. And I've never had it go moldy like that. You know, even being in the refrigerator for like 4 weeks, I've never had a problem with it going moldy. So hold on a second, I'm gonna set you down and get situated. Alright, so I just open each package and I cut them in thirds. I'm gonna try to show you guys this in real time to show you that it really doesn't take all that long. The problem is that my food processor is very loud. This is very loud when you do it, and there's really no way of getting around it. But I want to show you in real time, so I don't want to do the time lapse. So what I'm going to do is tell you when to turn down your speakers, because I want you to see how long it's taking, but I don't want you to have to hear that noise. And so I'll try to give you a heads up when you should maybe mute your speakers. And you can buy this or any kind of cheese at Azure Standard in 5-pound blocks that are basically just one big block of cheese covered in one piece of shrink wrap. And that's what I did for a long time, because it's even less money than this. But I was finding that we weren't going through it fast enough, because it's just me and my son normally, sometimes my ex also, but for the most part it's my son and I who are going through all this amounts of cheese. And I was buying 5 pounds of pepper jack and 5 pounds of white cheddar, and we weren't going through it fast enough. So I had to start buying these individually wrapped things. And like this brand, it comes in 10 of these per box, per case. And again, it equals out to about $5 a pound. And then I just take it and I cut it in thirds so that it fits down the tube of my food processor. And when I was mixing the cheddar with the pepper jack, I would just have one of each. So one of this would be the cheddar and one would be pepper jack. And when I would feed it into the food processor, it would automatically be mixing together because of the way I arranged the blocks to go down into the food processor. I hope that makes sense. And so I just cut it in 3 equal pieces. And you only need just a regular, like, steak knife to go through it. And so all of this from 2 blocks will go in one of those bags there, and then the other 6 blocks will go in the other bag. And what I do is I put, sorry if I say a lot, I've got to quit doing that. What I do is first put a little bit of the starch down in the bag so that it has something to land in. You cannot really do this without some kind of starch, because the minute you shred it and then put it into a bag, it will just clump right together, and it'll be like you never even shredded it. And so I put, I don't know, it's probably a tablespoon. I don't know if you can see that. Probably about a tablespoon down into the bottom. And that's what I start with. This is going to be awkward. I normally do this in the kitchen, so I'm a little discombobulated. Alright, so I'm getting ready to make some noise here. I go ahead and lock it in place here, and then I use the shredding disc. It's just a regular shredding disc. This food processor has a secondary shredding disc that the holes are much smaller, And this is already small enough. The Tillamook cheese that I buy is that really thick, thickly shredded stuff, and I like that a lot, but this is as big as it will go. And so I set that on there and I lock it into place. And then I just do all of them all at once, and it pretty much fills up this whole bowl. And so I'll show you that. So go ahead and mute or turn it down because we are going now. But I wanted to show you, let me tilt the camera up so that you can see what I'm doing here at the top. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push each piece through with another piece until I get the very end, and then I'll use the stopper to shove it down in there, and that's when it's the loudest, so just be ready. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Sorry about that. It's gotta happen though. And then I take it off, and what happens is the cheese starts to ball up here on the top, and if you heard that, it was kind of bogging down. This is because this is an old food processor and it's been through the ringer, and there's cheese that kind of collects on the inside and in the crevices. And so I just take that knife and I dig it out of there. And there's usually a bunch of little balls of cheese, and it's okay because it doesn't have to be perfectly shredded. It's not a restaurant here. I'm not doing any kind of manufacturing. It's just for me and my family. And this one is especially big. Let me show you that. Look at that. So I'm going to kind of cut that one up a little bit. That was really big. But the reason I had to keep banging it down, the stopper, is because that's what it does. It starts to ball up, and I just have to keep pulling it up off of the cheese and then letting it revolve around, and then as I'm pushing it down, it's shredding, it's revolving at the same time. And so it usually gets out most of the big chunks, but for some reason it left that big ball this time. And one pound of cheese is all you can fit in these food processors. I can't remember how big this one, but it's just a standard. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the tip of my knife. There's a little crevice in there, and I'm not sure if you can tell or not, but there's cheese stuck in that crevice. And so I would just run the tip of my knife down in there. I'm a miser. I don't like to waste anything. And so for me to see cheese, especially cheese, which is my favorite food in the world, I think. So to see that wasted is a no-no. And I'm not going to show you the other 1 pound because that would be horrible. You don't want to hear that noise again. And when I'm done, I just try to get everything off of there that I can, and that just goes straight into my dishwasher. Just like it is. It seems really gross and it seems like it wouldn't get it clean, but it does. If your dishwasher is good enough and you're using decent hard dishwashing tablets, it'll be fine. And so I just take it off the hook, and then because as it's accumulating in there, it really wants to bind back together because I didn't put the starch in yet. And so I just put the tip of my knife, and I do this over the cutting board because this is a flexible cutting board, and I can dump the leftovers into the bag if I make a mess, because there's a hole down in here and the cheese is falling through that hole right now. But I have to do this because it already wants to clump up. So I take the knife all the way down to the bottom And I'm just kind of like fluffing it like you would fluff rice after you get done cooking rice. And I'm making a mess down there. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm gonna have to move this so you guys can see what I'm doing. And I just take it and very carefully start pouring it in there. And I only pour about half of it in there to start with. So I just fit it's not gonna fit perfectly over it, and I'm gonna have some spillage. But I just kind of shake it just a little bit. Because you need to be adding more of the starch. So that's about half of it, and you can see the tapioca starch down there. And then I just take it and I put it in the bag and just sprinkle another tablespoon or so on it. It's about a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more. And then I just dump the rest of it in here, trying not to make a mess. If I mixed it up enough in the beginning, it normally doesn't make a mess. But you can see it's wanting to stick all down in there. And so again, with my handy dandy knife, I'm just scraping it down from the edges and from the bottom. It's really sticky this time because it's raining. You probably heard that a little bit earlier. It died down a little bit, but it's raining today. So it's pretty humid. So the more humid it is, the more starch you're gonna need. Just because there's more air, moisture in the air. And so it's wanting to be a bear right now. It's really wanting to be sticky. I guess if I was in a hurry, I could just dump a little bit of starch in here and it might help along. But I don't bother cleaning it totally out until I'm all the way done. So since I still have another pound of cheese to do, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put it right back on the thing. And then I put the blade back in. And so it's ready for that other one. But before I can do that, I have to save the cheese that got left on the cutting board. Thank goodness for bendable cutting boards usually. Yeah, it's really sticky right now. So the drier your climate is, the less starch you're gonna need. And that just makes sense, of course. And then one more time on the top, about a tablespoon. And then for this part right now, I don't push the air out yet. I push the air out to store it, but not right now. So right now I'm just letting the air stay in there, and I'm gonna zip it. And then I'm gonna start at the bottom. And you can probably see why you need that air in there right now, because that helps to give it room for the cheese and the starch to mix up. Just toss around like you're making a pizza dough or something. And again, this will last at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks probably. Maybe even 4 weeks. If you keep it at the coldest part of the refrigerator and you never open it, and you've got enough starch in there, you can go 3 and 4 weeks and it'll be fine in your refrigerator. And you can see how poofy it is. And I never store it like that. I always open the bag and fold it in half and thirds until I've pushed all the air out. And then I slide it shut. And now it's like a vacuum sealed, almost vacuum sealed, as close as you're gonna get by hand. And so that'll just go in the coldest part of my refrigerator. And then the other one we'll start using tonight, actually, because we're making burritos tonight, as usual. So that was it, guys. I hope that was helpful to someone. I've been wanting to show you that for a while now, and I don't know how much longer I'll be here. So I just wanted to make sure that I got this little tutorial in before I left my sticks and bricks. Alright, I hope you're having a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.